Today, high heels are one of the most recognizable symbols of women's fashion. They appear on red carpets, in luxury boutiques, at black tie dinners, and beneath the polished tables of the world's most exclusive restaurants. But high heels were not invented for glamour. They were not invented for women, and they were not invented for fashion. They were invented for war. Centuries before the stiletto became a symbol of elegance, heeled footwear was worn by Persian cavalry. The raised heel helped riders secure their feet in the stirrups while standing to fire arrows from horseback. What we now associate with luxury began as military technology. The heel was practical, masculine, functional, a tool for control. But like so many objects that eventually become luxury, its meaning began to change the moment it entered a different world. In the late 16th century, European diplomats returned from Persia, fascinated by what they had seen. Along with ideas, fabrics, and customs, they brought back a new style of footwear. European noblemen embraced it almost immediately, not because it was fashionable, because it represented power. Persia was one of the world's great military powers, and its cavalry were admired throughout Europe. To European aristocrats, the heel wasn't simply a piece of footwear, it represented military excellence, discipline, wealth, authority. By wearing Persian-inspired heels, noblemen weren't just adopting a new style, they were borrowing the image of power itself. Owning horses was expensive, riding was reserved for the wealthy. A heel became a visual signal that you belonged to a class of people who commanded armies instead of working fields. The shoe no longer simply served a purpose, it communicated status. Then one man transformed that status into spectacle. King Louis XIV understood something that luxury brands still understand today. Power isn't enough. Power has to be seen. The French king famously wore elaborate heels with brilliant red soles and heels, making himself appear taller while ensuring every eye in the room was drawn toward him. Soon, red heels became exclusive to members of his court. You couldn't simply buy them, you had to belong. Louis XIV understood something else that still defines luxury centuries later. The moment access becomes restricted, desire begins to grow. Red heels became valuable not because they were made from extraordinary materials, but because they were unavailable to almost everyone. Exclusivity transformed footwear into status. It's a strategy luxury brands still use today. Not everyone can own it. And that's exactly the point. The shoe had completed its first transformation from military equipment to a symbol of privilege. And that's when something fascinating happened. For centuries, high heels were considered unmistakably masculine. They were worn by kings, aristocrats, military officers, and men who wanted to project authority. No one questioned whether they looked masculine, because at the time, they did. History has a way of reminding us that many of the meanings we attach to objects aren't permanent. They're inherited, and they can change. Objects themselves aren't masculine or feminine. Society decides what they represent. Then, over time, society changes its mind. As Europe moved into the 18th century, men's fashion became increasingly practical and restrained. Ornate embroidery, wigs, makeup, jewelry, and heels slowly disappeared from men's wardrobes. Women's fashion moved in the opposite direction. Designers embraced the heel for entirely different reasons, not because it helped someone ride a horse, but because it changed posture. It lengthened the leg, it altered the silhouette, it created elegance instead of authority. The object hadn't changed, its purpose had, its symbolism had, its audience had. What was once a military innovation had become one of the world's most recognizable symbols of femininity and eventually of luxury. That transformation reveals something profound about luxury itself. Luxury is rarely created by inventing something entirely new. More often, it's created by reinventing the meaning of something that already exists. A horseman's tool became royal fashion. Royal fashion became feminine elegance. Feminine elegance became an object of aspiration, and aspiration became an industry worth billions. Today, brands like Christian Louboutin don't sell leather and heels. They sell identity, confidence, presence, a feeling. The materials may be exceptional, the craftsmanship may be extraordinary, but what people are really buying is the story attached to the object. That's what Louis XIV understood centuries ago. The heel wasn't valuable because of what it was made from. It was valuable because of what it communicated. The most valuable luxury objects in the world rarely begin as luxury objects at all. They begin as ordinary tools. Then someone powerful adopts them. And eventually, the story becomes more valuable than the object itself. The high heel has symbolized military strength, royal privilege, social status, femininity, and modern luxury, all without fundamentally changing what it is. High heels were never really about shoes. They were about power, and power has always been one of humanity's greatest luxuries.